Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. It's great to be out and about at an expo. US CBD Expo done a great job, and after being locked down for quite some time with a 2- and 4-year-old who frankly doesn't care what daddy has to say at all, it's good to be out and talking to people about some things that we're passionate about that might make an impact on your business here. I'm Ryan Allio, co-founder, VP of Sales, Business Development for Kaizen Global Partner, as well as Zuri. Kaizen Global Partners is our parent company. It's our product development, research and development, manufacturing and pick and ship facility, where we do all of our white label, private label business. That's a main focus of what we do. So we get a lot of other brands coming to us to help formulation development. And we get a lot of questions from them saying, conversational, what's hot in the market right now? What can we include into our formulation design and development to set our products apart? And it's a challenging task to do that, as well as not make it so capital intensive that all your money's sucked up in one product, and it's a make or break situation for you. So hopefully I can give you some good insight on what we're seeing in the market right now as we bounce back from requests from other brands and where they want to take their product. Zuri Wellness, the Zuri brand, that's our own branded product that we have underneath the Kaizen Global Partners facility there. And I encourage you guys to ask me any questions, because we have made all the mistakes. You live and you learn through this. And if I can give anybody a piece of advice that's helpful to them so they don't make some of the same mistakes we did, I'm happy to do so and have that conversation either here or after the presentation. So I always like to have goals. We're all entrepreneurs here, and we have to have goals each and every day. So the goals for my presentation is to talk about CBD trends, but I want to talk about it more from a macro perspective. I stole some great data off of a presentation that I was on from Brightfield Group. If you don't know Brightfield Group or don't have a connection with them, I strongly recommend that you do. They give out great data on where the CBD market's going right now, and it's really insightful. Again, after the show, you can connect with me here. I'll forward you on their presentation as well. They do a really nice job, but I thought it was pertinent to talk about their data within this CBD trends talk. So talk about like where we've been since the pandemic and what we're seeing coming back, bouncing out of it right now. Where's the overall industry going? As well as how has this affected consumer buying? We're seeing a lot of changes in consumer buying, which obviously impacts the products that we want to develop and the products that we want to launch. And how has this affected our white label, private label business? They're all interconnected with each other. So we were challenged in 2020 by obviously a once in a lifetime, hopefully, experience. Brick and mortar closures were a challenge, especially for us. Price suppression, and we never really got to the federal regulations that we thought we were going to get to in 2020. However, you don't have to take a finance class to see the growth model here. We're supposed to rebound. We're supposed to rebound very, very well. And as you're talking about CBD trends, you really have to think about, okay, out of these billions of dollars that this market's going to grow, where do I want my niche to be? And identify that niche, and you really want to drive a wedge into that niche and be great at what you do. You can't be great at everything. We've made that mistake in our past experience as well. Strong growth expected in 2022 again. We're looking for a bounce back here. Accessibility, hopefully the federal regulations will get cleared up. This was a nice chat before me about that. Education, innovation, and I think acceptance is still occurring here. We live in our small ecosystem where we think everybody knows everything about CBD, and there is still a large audience out there that are skeptical, just don't have the appropriate education that'll help this market continue to grow. This is from a Brightfield Group survey. I thought this was really impactful. It showed how consumers and what consumers were interested in terms of their CBD product, how that's evolved and changed. And I thought the interesting fact of this was desired effects was number one, if you look at that chart. Above and beyond price. This is the first year that something other than price has driven consumers' buying habits, which I think is an extreme positive. You know, it means people are becoming more knowledgeable of CBD products. They're willing to spend a little bit more as they start to see it become more and more effective and part of their daily life. They have packaging pretty low on this. I would tend to disagree on that. I'm one that thinks packaging is super important. We do significant consultations with our brands about packaging because we're pretty full service from that end to give you an finished consumable product. I'm pretty passionate about packaging. I think it's extremely important to speak to your consumer. But I thought this was a pretty interesting flow chart on where we're going from a consumer perspective within the CBD market. Category trends, what Brightfield Group was seeing from a category trend perspective, I don't think this is going to be mind-blowing to anybody, but it's worth talking through. Tinctures still dominate the market with it. Now, I'm seeing tinctures and requests for tincture design and development with higher concentrations of CBD, distillate, full spectrum, nanotechnologies. I'm seeing other minor cannabinoids getting included into those formulations as well. A lot more of that's going on in our development, and terpenes. I think terpene use is going to be something that explodes in 2022 and really allows brands to set them apart from everybody else on the market. Drinks are expected to see strong growth over the next 5 years. Expect to see a 50% growth. Now, I do have concerns over drinks. I'll tell you that right now. I'll talk about them a little bit later on. I know it's hot, and I know everybody wants a drink and wants to launch a drink. I'll talk about some of my concerns about drinks a little bit later on in the conversation. Mission statement, nobody cares about our mission statement. We'll skip that one. Let's talk a little bit about the white label trends that we've been seeing on the market. So given the data and the consumer data that I just presented to you, how has this affected what our customers are coming to us with? And I talked about a few of these already, but I'll dive a little deeper. Skincare in 2021 has been off the charts in terms of the brands that we work with and the brands that are in our pipeline with what they're requesting from a skincare perspective. I would say 3 out of 4 brands that we work with or are in our pipeline right now, we're working on some sort of skincare product development with them. I think coming off of the pandemic, personal care became more of a hot topic with consumers. People had more time to spend on themselves because we didn't have a whole lot else to do. And they got involved with their own personal maintenance more than ever before. I think a lot of that is driving skincare. I think also people realize that the skincare market, if they can get in it and they have the right distribution channels with it, it's a product line that's going to hold a high ASP because people already spend a lot of money on skincare. Therefore, with CBD added into it, you're not going to necessarily see the price erosion that you might see with other product categories. Minor cannabinoids, I mentioned this, CBG, CBN, they're almost going into every one of our formulations that we're developing from scratch right now, as well as terpenes. Those are a couple terpenes that we've worked with recently. We have access and have done formulation, design, and development with over about 30, 35 terpenes at this point in time. Big fan of them. Again, some of them will allow you to stretch the claims a little bit on it when you're adding other ingredients into it that have been proved effective. And it helps with some of the labeling and the brand recognition as you're designing a product here. We work also a lot with driving agents. I know topicals are obviously a big market. I don't even like calling them topicals anymore. I label them as transdermals. And there's driving agents that you can put in a topical that will take that topical deeper within the tissue layer, okay? Making your product more effective. Thank you. I really like working the transdermal route. I came from a medical device pharmaceutical background for about 20, 25 years in sales and marketing. Some of it was topical related outside of obviously CBD, That's how we got into the space, and was very familiar with driving agents and transdermal gels. I was surprised when we got into the topical market how few were on the market. That's becoming more and more prevalent, at least with our formulations that we're designing and developing for folks. I mentioned stronger milligrams. We're not seeing a whole lot of tincture development right now under 1,500 milligrams. We used to launch 250 milligram tinctures all the time with brands, 500 milligrams. It's pretty much starting at 1,500 at this point in time. Again, I think consumers, they're valuing the desired effects. They're realizing that you need to have a higher milligram tincture in order to get those effects, and there's more value out of that. We're seeing a lot of that in our manufacturing processes. Microdosing. We've switched a lot of our tinctures to a pump top, allowing folks to better microdose. Our pump top takes 8 pumps in order to get a full day's supply. So what it allows that consumer to do is take 2 in the morning, 2 late morning, 2 afternoon, and then 2 in the evening time, and really dose those tinctures out throughout the course of the day. We're doing a lot more of that. In fact, very, very infrequently are we doing a tincture that's a dropper top anymore. Unless it's obviously a facial serum or something along those lines. Increase awareness of point of sale marketing material. This is a mistake that we made. You're not just gonna sell CBD products, get it on a retailer shelf, and it's gonna turn automatically. They're gonna need support, and retailers are savvy enough now after going through this in 2019 and 18 that they're gonna request those point of sale items from you and really want help being educated and hand-holding to translate all of your knowledge to that consumer. Point of sale marketing materials are extremely important. It's something we undervalued when we launched our brand. We got a lot better at it as we grew the brand, and certainly it's something that we talk about our brands with too, on how they're gonna relay those messages over to the consumer. Single use. And this goes a little bit back to the drinks as well. I like single use, I do. I think it's a great way to introduce CBD into the market. I think we gotta figure out ways to make our products a little bit more affordable to the masses so that they can try it, see the desired effects, and then increase their utilization of it as they become more comfortable with it. Single use is a nice way to do that. Drinks obviously are a single use. My concern about drinks in general is I believe that food or alcohol and bev are going to hit the market heavy in the upcoming years in terms of drinks. And I think that you could launch a drink right now, spend a lot of money on it. It's a lot of inventory. It's big. It's expensive to ship. You know what I mean? And once alcohol bev get into the industry, they're going to be pumping drinks out at such a high volume and such a high MLQ. It's going to be very, very challenging for you to make the profit margins necessary, include the shipping costs into the retailer, and have them sell a beverage if you're not scaling in that volume to compete at that level. Personally, and we do quite a bit of this, I like water-soluble powders that can be mixed into drinks. I think those are very good. They're single use. They're much more affordable to ship. They're more compact. You can stick them at the cash wrap. And it's something that I think could be a longer-term play for a brand that's building that doesn't have a R&D budget of $10 million to support a full-on drink. I'm trying to think of other single uses that we've worked on lately. We're seeing a lot of energy shots right now as well. I do like energy shots. We're seeing a lot more immunity formulations coming into play right now. Again, playing off that health and wellness aspect of it. And a lot of sleep. Sleep is doing very, very well for us also. I think post-pandemic, everybody's relied on a little bit more melatonin in their life. They've increased that to the point where their body has slowed down their own melatonin production, and you just got to keep increasing it unless you get a formulation with maybe a CBD, maybe a CBN, and melatonin combination that allows you to get that melatonin level back into shape again and still provides you a good, effective product. I'm pretty much through it. I want to make sure I leave time for questions. Again, feel free. Like I said, we've made every mistake in the book, so I'd be happy to help out as much as I can.
So pretty fascinated by the terpene side of things, and have done some experimentation with, infusing that into oils and other products.
Sure.
Really curious about just, levels of terpenes within products. So have done some research, but don't know if there's much out there around toxicity levels in humans. And I think the best I've been able to do is draw comparisons to like, oh, this much is in hops, which is in beer, or in a strain of weed, like this, this level of terpenes, you can kind of back into it. Is the Kaizen group doing research into that, or what are you seeing in terms of research around terpenes and product formulation?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And what I want to do is maybe set up a call with our head of R&D as well to talk a little bit more detailed. That's much more up her alley than it would be mine at this point in time. It's very new. The terpenes that we are incorporating at this juncture are still limited. When you look at, I believe there's like 180 terpenes out there, and we've worked with about 30 of them at this point in time. And we're using a small amount of terpenes currently right now as we develop formulations and get a little bit more comfortable with how they interact with the human body. But I'd be more than happy to give you my business card, and we certainly can set up a call next week.
No, I appreciate that. And yeah, I think as more research gets out there, we'll be able to do better formulations, so very curious.
Agreed. We're light years ahead of where we were in 2019. It's only going to happen again over the next couple of years.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. I would like to share in this room. Do you have on this all mistakes that you have experienced? Have you been dealing internationally or mainly locally?
Mainly in the U.S. At this point in time. I'm not opposed to dealing internationally. We just haven't taken that step as a company yet.
Oh,
but
okay.
but if that's something that you'd like to chat about after the presentation, I'd be more than happy to.
I'll be happy to.
Thank you.
There's a lot of conversation about water soluble versus oil based. What's your position on that?
That's a great question. And this is what I will state. We get brands all the time coming at us, and they've read an article on the top 10 CBD trends, and there's 10 new products on there, and they're like, hey, I want to make this product. And I always am like, oh, if it's already in a magazine and already a top 10 product, you know what I mean? You're probably a little too late, and we need to develop something a little bit more robust in terms of a formulation to set it apart, because if you're seeing it there's 30 other companies. And also, I have honest conversations with brands too. Again, you can't be good at everything, and you got to find out who your consumer is, identify that consumer, be very specific. And just because it's a hot trend, it doesn't mean it's good for your consumer, okay? And it might not work with your brand, and you got to be honest about that. Why I went there with the nanotechnology is, I like it, I believe in it, right? I think it's a very, very specific market that requires a very specific brand that can take that nanotechnology and the cost of it and deliver the value add to that consumer. And again, that's what we have to do in this market right now. And so we have not done a whole lot of nanotechnology. Again, I'm not opposed to it, but if somebody comes into me with a C-store brand and they want to do nanotechnology, it's just not going to work for them. And we get a lot of that sometimes with our formulation design, where they want this, but they want to sell it at this price. And I don't know if we're there yet. And I'm not saying we're not, I just don't know if we are.
Hello. I have to agree with you that terpenes are going to be the next big thing that takes off. But I just want to share a fact with everyone here, since trends are going to be taking that route. I just learned this at SC Labs, where I work. that you have to test your terpenes, your essential oils, because that is where your pesticides are going to linger.
100%.
We just saw Walmart have a recall on some linen spray that had essential oils and was killing people because of the pesticides in there.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that. And obviously, that conversation is extremely important in terms of working with a white label, private label partner that can show you all the testing of each raw ingredient, and then also show you the testing before they release the product to you as well. I appreciate the point. That's very well spoken on that one. I'm getting the wrap up sign. I appreciate everybody's attention, and thank you so much.